Hello, everyone. How are you today? I'd like you to join us for an insightful episode of Executive Encore, the podcast that is empowering women senior executives, business owners, and professionals to redefine their life and their careers at 40, 50, 60, and even beyond. Today's episode tackles a critical challenge for mid to senior level professionals, and that is what has been coined as the career cliff. Is it the end of the road or the start of something new? Discover how personal branding and small business ownership can create an exciting opportunity for you as you come across this so-called cliff. Cheryl Schoffield is founder of Kickstart Business Academy. She is an expert in helping professionals transition from employment to entrepreneurship with nearly 2 decades of experience as an online business technology strategist and certified Kajabi specialist. We'll talk to you a little bit about that. She has guided countless professionals who are 50 plus into the online space. She'll share with us today the strategies for simplifying technology, building some custom sales funnels, and confidently launching a business. I've known Cheryl for 2 decades. We actually cut our teeth and have grown together as women entrepreneurs. So tune in. This might inspire you to take the next step in your career journey by doing something totally different. Welcome, Cheryl. How are you doing today?
Fabulous, Patricia. Thanks for having me here. I'm
Ah,
looking
it's
forward to our conversation.
Yeah, you and I have had some great conversations over the years
Yeah,
with some blanks where we have not been connected. But it's you and I were talking about, wow, has it been that long? 2 decades.
yeah,
That's a long time. So this is
yes.
such a meaningful conversation we're going to have today. I'm excited to have you share some insights and some solutions with our audience. I often speak to women about, especially senior executives, who are looking at getting that package from their corporate job and not quite knowing what they're going to do when they get that. There's a number of opportunities open for them, and some of them actually feel like they are at a career cliff. So let's start talking about that career cliff. As a reality for so many women over 50, some of these women have climbed the corporate ladder or the career ladders to become very successful as senior executives. Many listeners may be familiar with this scenario. Over the next year, some women will dabble with the job hunting, perhaps, or her
Mhm.
savings will be dwindling, or eventually she's forced to settle for a role that is far beneath her expertise and her well earned value. Cheryl, why is this scenario being played out so frequently, and what can be done to break this
Mm.
cycle?
Well, I have to say that a pivotal article for me was in Fortune magazine. It had to be like almost 20 years ago. And it talked about finished at 40. And they were, yeah, I know. And they were talking about how that this is what was going to be coming in the coming years, decades, was that as you get beyond 40 in your career, you are becoming more expensive from quite a number of different angles.
Mhm.
You're requiring more vacation. Your medical bills may be climbing. You're taking maybe some more time off. You're looking for that next step, and there's a lot of younger, because we are digital, we're not digital natives, we are digital immigrants. So those digital skills and the ability maybe to use social media and LinkedIn and all those things have maybe not been kept at the par and the growing expertise that maybe it could have or should have been. That article, when I read that and some other books that I was reading at the time, really kind of woke me up. I had always changed jobs and I had that kind of sales and entrepreneurial bent. So I was always used to changing jobs. But what I found when I left corporate and I started to go to my local networking and business and chamber of commerce and stuff, is that there were a lot of people that had been given that package many times unexpectedly. that it
Mm-hmm.
really wasn't something that they were expecting. And they were kind of like, they didn't really know what to do, and their skills were not up there.
Mm-hmm. 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 So you talk about the power of personal branding, having a strong personal brand to begin with. It
Yeah.
allows you to redefine yourself actually on your own terms rather than following the brand of the corporation that you may have worked for many years. And I think this is one of the things that women struggle with. They've been a part of a corporation or employment that they have promoted the company's brand without thinking about what their own brand is. So tell us a little more about the work that you do in helping people take on that opportunity of having a personal brand online, especially.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That is a struggle that I find that professionals, as they are making that transition, that they struggle with. They're, obviously concerned about what they see online that they don't like, and that they don't want to be that person. They want to make sure that they're a professional. They have achieved a level of recognition and respect. And they're very concerned that whatever it is that they post, or that what their personal brand is, they really want it to be something that they can be proud of. And that when they start showing up online, that they are still staying within what they think of as that corporate lane.
Hmm.
So there is a transition period over about, I found about a 2 year period where you kind of are leaving corporate and thinking less that way, and thinking more about what your personal brand is and what do you want to stand up for. What voice could you have that is unique to you, because we're all unique. And I
Hmm.
find that kind of mind shift is really, that's internal work. You can put out your LinkedIn profile and do all that kind of work, but it's a lot of that internal work to start thinking about what you stand for, and not necessarily what who you were in the business world.
Hmm. So it could be a brand new identity for a person, right?
Yeah,
Being an employee
yeah,
to becoming an entrepreneur, there's a lot of things for people to sort out. So it's not just about hanging a shingle. I think you and I have seen many, many people over the
many.
years hang out the shingle, think that they can come out into business without actually doing this work about who are they now and in the environment that we are in. I think as entrepreneurs, we see the shift in business environment very quickly compared to someone who may be in the corporation, who may not
Yeah,
find out about those shifts unless they go to an annual conference or something like that. So for entrepreneurs, there's a lot of inner work, and it's not just one time does it all.
no,
So
definitely not.
we have to continually look at how are we going to hone our message. So that tells us, takes us on to a topic of what's our voice. So having a voice is important. This leads us to the topic of, I know will spark some controversy, perhaps. So tell us a little bit about women over the age of 50 starting a small business. They have many options, but this is one that perhaps is a great option for them to consider. But it can be a golden ticket, as you have said. But there's things to consider. What should they focus on top of that branding?
The thing is about the personal brand is, when we're working in corporate, there are this many things that we're doing and that we're good at. Not all of them are our true heartfelt mission. So we have to, first of all, think about, out of all of these things that I can do, what is it that really lights me up, that really speaks to me? That can take a while to figure out what that is. And then within that lane, what is it that that I could make money at. That, what could I build a business around? Because you can really be speaking to that. For example, you really want to help unfortunate individuals. But if you can't actually make a business around that, a monetary money making business, then it may be something that you need to come at from a different angle or shift slightly so that you can actually begin to make a living from it. I think
Mhm.
that's one of the aspects that I've found works. The other side of it is what is your personality? Now that we've found this thing that you really want to do, it's going to be difficult as an introvert if I ask you to get on camera, stand up on stage right away. What I have found over the time, running my own conversations with experts, and I'm sure you've found, getting up and being on camera is not something that you can just turn on one day. It's more hard if you're an individual. It's a marathon. You have to get clearer in your mind. What are your must-dares? What are the things that are most important to you? So it takes a bit of a runway to figure out then, if I don't like being on camera, what else can I do? How else can I get out into the world? Now, if you're an extrovert and you love being the center of attention, then that's a different road. So there's not just what you want to do, but there's also the business model of
Mhm.
how we're going to go to market with that and what mesh those two together so that we're building a business that you love.
Mhm.
Those are important things to think about.
Mhm. Now you work with people who are starting their business, and so there are certain tools or certain platforms that they do need to be on. We've
Yeah,
talked about LinkedIn for your personal professional brand. Um,
definitely.
that you also talked about how important it is to have that strong brand being articulated on a professional website. Okay.
Yeah,
And you've also talked to me about implementing those sales and those marketing strategies. Not all good at those sort of things. So we do
right.
need systems and we do need people like you who can help us with those tools. Could you say a little more about how your business is an asset for a woman who's thinking about starting a business from A to Z or from soup to nuts?
Sure.
Where would you take them?
Sure. I think a lot of times what happens is when people go online, they end up spending a lot of money on things that maybe are not as important as they will be down the line. So initially, I think that the LinkedIn platform is a fantastic place, which is absolutely free, and from which you could start a very viable business and start to make money from that. So that's normally where I start, is with their LinkedIn profile. And then, as I said, as you become more clear about where you want to work and the kind of business model, then we can start moving into how would we package that? Is it a course? Is it speaking? Is it one-on-one services? Is it corporate? So then we would go into whatever lane that is. And
Mm,
then at that point, I think that you can then begin to think, okay, could I use a website? Do I need to get and probably, yes, more likely you can buy a domain name. So it can be Patricia at, Cheryl at Kickstart Your Company. I
rather
think
than at
that's very important.
gmail.com. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, I
And then
want just want to
go
stop
ahead.
on that point for a moment.
Sure.
I see so many people who are hanging out their banners or their signs that they're starting a business, and then they have at gmail.com. To
Absolutely.
me,
Not professional. You're
no,
not serious.
yeah, that's the impression I get. A lot of people may be able to live with that, but for this is one of those things in business where you have to look at the return on investment, and your own domain that you own is an asset. You're
Right.
not part of Gmail. So yeah, I just wanted to
Sure. And it's
just
important.
impress that. Yeah.
And the thing is, it doesn't need to be a full website. You can
Mhm,
buy your own domain for like $12 a
mhm,
year, and you can get, an email that's attached to it for not that much more. It doesn't have to be thousands of dollars on a full blown website. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of get off into the weeds and end up spending, a good chunk of their retirement, whatever that nest egg
Yeah.
package was, is they get off onto that tangent before they're really clear about who they are, and they put up this website which is all about them, which
Yes.
can't be. It can't be. It's got to be all about your client. It's got to be, what is it that they're trying to solve, and how are you the best person to solve that?
Yeah.
And that's, I said, it's a transition from corporate to learning to speak. What are your must-dares? It's a different way of speaking, different way of thinking,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and very often does not come naturally, especially if you've been in corporate a very long time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a time to sort of break out and have it about you, but at the same time, you have to restrain it and think about what are you offering that is going to be important to other people. This will sound controversial as well, because I've noticed over the last year or so, LinkedIn is very much about look at me, look at me, look at me, rather than here's what I can provide for you, or this is how I would like to connect with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad. And I think that's part of your personal branding as well, is are you coming across as someone who is helpful, or is it all about you? Right. So
Yeah.
that could be very controversial. I know a lot of people who will sort of take me to task on that one, but that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah. That's okay.
Are you going to
That's
take
what
me
it's.
to task
That's what
on it?
your personal brand is. Is you have to sometimes be controversial, right?
Yeah.
Because that brings attention in its own way as well.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Okay. You want to have good controversial, I think, but
Yeah.
it depends on who you are. Like some people
It's a
really
conversation.
love it. Yeah, it's a conversation. So actually, that takes us into a great transition about on this show about every moment matters. So this is about you. Okay. So I'd like you to share, when did you have that feeling that being an entrepreneur was going to be a move that you wanted to move into? I know it was when you left a corporate job, but when did you really get that spark? What did that feel like? And how did you then come to the point where you figured, I have to remaster my life and work around this new decision?
Hmm. I think luckily for me, very near the beginning of my career, my sister, in fact, married a salesperson, and I had there was no salespeople in my circle, in my family, so this was a real eye opener. When I graduated from Ryerson University, he said to me, "Oh, here." I could give you a new car and you can call on these people on Spadina Street. And I kind of went, oh, a new car. Okay. I'll go for it. And I think that's part of what I've come to realize is that entrepreneurial spirit is when you see an opportunity, when an opportunity is given to you, you say, oh, okay, I'll try it. I'll see what it's going to be like. Because, one door closes and doors open. And if you don't go through that door, we're not committed for life. And I think that's another thing that people
Mm,
think, that this choice is going to be the rest of your life. It isn't. You're just making this one choice. If you can always go back. If you decide that you ended up somewhere that you don't want, you can always make another turn and go somewhere else.
mhm,
So I think that, those were the experiences to begin with. I just wanted my freedom. It was very difficult for me to keep going at 9 to 5, that churn all the time. I needed more of that expression, more of that creative. The jobs, as I went through my career, the jobs that I excelled at were, here's a problem, Cheryl. No one else can solve it. Off you go. And then I would go off, right? So then as my career went, I found that I was a fireman. I would get dropped into situations where it was a disaster and I would go in and put systems in place.
mhm,
So then everything went from, you're not an employee, you're really just a contractor. We're not going to give you benefits. We're not going to. And that became more and more as they took out that middle management and that mentorship and that long term thinking. And it just became more about churn. And I think we've all seen that. And that's when I thought, you know what? I'm really running my own business here.
Mhm.
What benefits are you really giving me? I could, if I registered my own business and came to work under my own banner, same job, but just a slightly different nuance,
Mhm.
I could actually be in a better financial position. And
Mhm.
that's when I changed.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, thank you so much. This has been some great insight that you have provided for anyone who's looking at perhaps the next move being
Mhm.
working on their own. It can take on many forms, but I'd say to actually uh, live up to what entrepreneurship is all about, like being fearless, like what you have over your
Yeah.
shoulder there. And just to recap, we've talked about the realities of the career cliff, the opportunity of personal branding, and how small business can lead to financial independence. You just mentioned that a few minutes ago, with the right mindset and the systems and the tools and the support. Cheryl, I know you do have a call to action for our listeners today.
Mhm.
You can see down in the sticker. Sorry, not the
Banner.
what's that thing called?
A
The
ticker tape, I think.
ticker.
Yeah.
Down in the ticker. I use that word so often now, I forgot it. So down in the ticker, you can see Cheryl's website and how to get in touch with her on LinkedIn. But Cheryl, tell us a little more about what you would like people to go away with today. What's the call to action?
I think the call to action is start early. You know, everybody is coming to that corporate cliff. You may not think you are,
Mm,
but having something on the side that is always going to be a good thing. It always is. Even if you're working at corporate, even if you had a couple of coaching clients on the call, hey, on the side, hey, that could be a trip to Europe for you. That could be a great retirement. That could send a kid to university. It doesn't, I think planning for that side hustle is not as wild and out there as we think it might be, because so many people, they fall off the cliff and they never saw it coming. I mean, there's a whole book, Blindsided,
yes.
right, written about it. Many, many, many people did not see it coming.
Yeah.
Other than that, I say it, we have it. Please reach out to me. I'd love to have a conversation with you. It's not selling, it's just a conversation. Where are you? And if I can help you, I will. I'm happy to help you.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mhm.
And you come with some great expertise, such as sales funnels, LinkedIn. Like I would say, for many people, it would be polishing up their LinkedIn profile
Definitely a
so that
birthday.
there is that nice blend of their voice, but it's not out there all about me. It's something that they can offer, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to share before we wrap up?
No, I think that's great. It's been a pleasure here today, and I really hope people have found this useful. It is
Yeah,
a great opportunity. Thank you.
you're very welcome. And I hope that there's some inspiration in there, that someone
Yeah,
who is sort of on that cliff thinking like, maybe I could do this, or it doesn't have to be forever. So let me try it for a while, right? Rather than sit doing nothing after, they get their package.
yeah,
It's good to take a little bit of time off, but it's good to get back into business, especially if you've built such a great career for yourself. You can do that again on your own terms. So thank you again, Cheryl.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
thank you to the listeners. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to Executive Encore for more empowering conversations like this. If today's episode resonated with you, share it with a friend. We all know someone who is peering over that edge of the cliff. Please leave a comment so that we can continue the discussion. And Executive Encore is a newsletter that you can subscribe to through my website at patriciamuir.com. Read my weekly blog. Follow me on LinkedIn as well. When you subscribe to the Sunday Encore newsletter, you read more about my conversations with featured guests, and you receive VIP access to some of the resources that my guests want to offer. Cheryl will be featured in the Sunday Encore this Sunday coming, February 16th.
Mhm.
All the links to access information about Cheryl and myself are in the show notes. This is where your Executive Encore begins. So until next week, take care of yourself, do what's best for you, and don't jeopardize what you've built for yourself.